Please. The show has started. We are live now.
Okay.
Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening, ma'am.
So that was wonderful. So today, viewers, we are there on a very important topic on a beautiful day. Today, we say is the day for especially for youngsters, the World Youth Skills. Okay, and we are not talking here about a skill that you can learn in 1 day or 2 days, but we are talking about an attitude that will help you to hone your skills and develop your skills and progress with your skills all life long once we have this attitude. Spirituality is an attitude, it is about your mindset. So, today we are talking about a very important topic because during this struggle for existence in this physical world, we also realize that there is something more than the sensory world. There is more than what we perceive with our senses in this world. And sometimes we may not be able to just be logical about it, but then we experience those. So, as a human being, we are endowed with the ability to learn the culture, civilization, all those capacities which help us to perceive something which is transcendent and a spiritual realm. So here today we have with us somebody special, Rishi Nanda, who is called as the spiritualist from India, and I have with me my co-host Vibhuti. As you are all aware, Vibhuti is from the United States. He's there from in United States from 1991, but born and brought up in India. He went there to actually build Indo-US ties and business relationships, but today he's also the cultural ambassador. So, welcome, Rishi. Rishi is
Thank you, ma'am.
actually a person from Mumbai. He's, as I told, a person who believes in ancient Indian history, the Puranas, and he connects them so well to leadership lessons. Say whether it's Mahabharata, whether it's Ramayana, whether it's Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavata Puran, all these things, Vishnu Puran, he connects them to everyday lessons and leadership lessons in everyday life. He has been a very successful salesperson, but he left a lucrative job and he thought that he is going to become an entrepreneur because he believed in himself. He, in fact, has got the train the trainer certificate from Dale Carnegie. And then he's also an MBTI specialist and also situational leadership specialist from the Center for Leadership series. Okay, he has been a management graduate from Wellinger Institute. He has done diploma in human resource management as well as advertising and public relations. So, with a huge professional experience, he has also co-authored a book, and I will talk about it later. And he is also a spiritual interfaith speaker at international level, which is a very interesting thing. He has also had a leadership talk with Shri Mahesh Bhupati, which is a very interesting thing. So very happy to have you here. Yes, with General G.D. Bakshi also at a Rotary conference also.
Yes.
He was there. And he has also addressed Powai Fest. He has been a facilitator for more than 800 training workshop in several corporates and has influenced the lives of more than 20,000 participants. Proud to have you here, Rishi. And let's start our talk. And before we start, what is on top of your mind, Vibhuti?
On top of my mind, there is plenty, but on top of the head, there is virtually blank. So you can see that. so I have nothing more to add because there are several issues that Rishi is, as a spiritualist, a practitioner, leadership, skill development, spiritual
Hear your
development.
voice.
Can't hear me?
No, you're loud, sir. Girija, ma'am, I think
voice
it's
is
at your
breaking.
end.
All right. So
Okay.
it is,
Okay, fine. If
it
you
is
could
at
hear it,
Girija's
then fine.
end.
Yes.
It is at Girija's
Correct.
end. So what I'm going to say is that we do a lot of work in this arena that you are working in, and so we have global, leadership, coaching. We do corporates, and we have done outstanding work in that arena. So I'm more keen to hear a young man like you, and maybe you will benefit, or I will benefit at the same time with our exchange. So go ahead, Rishi. It's your day.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, ma'am, and sir, so much for the opportunity. It's really an honor to interact with both of you, to be honest. Yeah, it's really a pleasure. Thank you, sir. And thank you so much for your kind words and such a lovely introduction. It means a lot.
Thank you, Rishi. Sorry, I butted in because I thought you've stopped. There is some problem at my end. I'm not able to hear you. So, when so Rishi, we'll start with your childhood. Okay, we would like to talk about how was your childhood? Was it at childhood itself you were initiated into spirituality, religious beliefs? How did it begin? How did this interest in spirituality begin?
So my childhood was like, I think like every normal average Indian childhood would be, lucky to be staying with my grandparents, my parents. Right now, also we stay in a joint family. We are like 13 of us who stay together in one flat. So we are a very close knit family. And yes, my grandfather has got a lot of influence over me. He shared a lot of stories. He shared a lot of small ideas, and he gave me a lot of introspect about Mahabharata, Ramayana. A lot of interpretation was done by him. And my father is also a very religious person, along with my mother, and my grandmother. So हमारे घर पे हम गणपति भी हर साल लाते हैं. I think it's more than 25 years that we are getting Lord Ganesha at our home every year. Diwali and all those festivals we used to celebrate a lot. My younger brother, in fact, used to do a lot of fasting also as a child. So we used to celebrate all kind of festivals that were there. And where I used to stay, there were a lot of friends from different religion. So my exposure towards different religions since childhood has been pretty good. So I went to convent school. So over there I got to know a lot about Moses, a lot about Jesus, and then I had friends from who would follow Buddha or Mahavir, Lord Mahavir, and all. So my exposure was pretty good towards that aspect. But that was again like a childhood typical. So I would not say that I got attracted towards spirituality, or I ever thought that I'll get into this aspect and make a career out of it. Nothing like that. But the best part of my entire childhood was Ramanand Sagar, Ramayana, and Mahabharata by B.R. Chopra, where my grandfather, grandmother, it was like a huge family affair. We all used to sit, and I was very fascinated by those. They used to wear all those mukut and all, the crown and all. I used to get very fascinated. Kya hai, So, but then yes, so that is how I think my interest started. Because our grandparents and our parents used to ensure that we follow all the rituals that are there, from praying, in the temple, or lighting the lamp or something. So that is how I got attached towards, all the festivals and all, and also the stories that every festival would have. My grandfather used to share a lot with me. So that was it, yeah. So, but that was purely about childhood, Yeah, that's it.
Interesting. You had a very normal childhood, like
Yes.
anybody.
Yes,
And you
yes.
were in a very successful corporate job for about 9 years. You had worked as a sales manager, area sales manager. You were going up there.
Yes, ma'am.
Suddenly, what made you leave that and then get into entrepreneurship? And
Correct.
how did you handle that phase? Because it would not have been easy. So, my
Correct.
question is, why did you take such a decision? And how did you go through that phase? How
Correct.
did it impact you?
Correct. So to be honest, ma'am, sir, I was pretty happy with my job. I will not say that I was not happy with my job. I wanted to leave the job and do. No, I was really happy with my job. I was really doing good in my life. There was not an issue, that I could complain about. I was 30 and I was heading Bombay for an NBFC bank, and I was already told that after a couple of years we look at as regional manager. So the things were going pretty good. But in 2011, I was blessed with a daughter. And the moment I held my daughter, we named her Kiara later on. The moment I held my daughter for the first time in my life, the moment I held her in the hospital, the first thought that came to my mind is, what do I give this girl beyond money? So that question, was there in my mind, that what do I give this girl beyond money? Like, as a father, obviously, I have to give her, the shelter, food, clothing, education, everything. But the question that stuck in my mind the moment I held my daughter was, what do I give this girl beyond money? And that question started haunting me. I was still in corporate at that time, and it just kept haunting me 24/7. It was just haunting me. What can you give your daughter beyond money? And after a couple of months, I think 6-7 months, finally, I got an answer that I want to give her a belief system. A belief system that you can dream, a belief system that you can chase your dream, a belief system things will go in wrong in your life, but a belief system that you can come out of it. But then a thought again came that when my daughter will grow up, she will tell me, Papa, you are telling me to believe in my dream. What did you do? What was your dream? And to be honest, I had no dream at that time. I was pretty happy. So Ma'am, to be honest, I quit my job in 2012 because by that time it took me a year to figure out the question and answers and all those things in my mind. I quit my job finally in 2012, having no backup plan, having no idea what I wanted to do in life, having no direction, but just a thought that I have to quit it right now because it's my firm belief over analysis leads to paralysis. I thought that if I can do it now, I can do it. If otherwise, it won't be possible for me to do it. Now coming to the so why did I do? So that I can give belief system to my children. So when I say my children, it's also for my niece and nephews and everyone around, that they have a reference point at least, that someone could dare to dream. So because we come from a family of a very secure background, we are either traders or we are into service. So I wanted to break that mold. So that was my firm belief, that was my reason, that I want to give a belief to my children. So whatever they want to do, we are there, and I want to walk the path to understand the journey myself, so that I can add at least little bit of value, in case they require, in case they want my experience. So that is why I did. Now coming to the part, how did I handle that? To be honest, when I quit my job, I swear to God, I didn't tell anyone at my home. I didn't even tell my wife that I've quit my job. I didn't tell her. I went for that notice period for 3 months to office. I used to go, I used to work, I used to come back, because I was sure that if I tell anyone that I want to quit, and logically they would ask me next question, okay, so what do you want to do? Because I got a daughter now. And if I say I don't know, no one would allow me to do that. No one would genuinely allow me to do that. So I said, let me figure it out. How will I manage that? So finally, the notice period got over. There was one day left, and that one night prior to my last day, I sat with my wife, and I told her at night that Meg, see, this is why I want to do it. Okay, but if you ask me what I want to do, I don't know. If you ask me by when will I pull it off, I don't know. How will I do it? I have no clarity. But this is my belief, and this is why I want to do it. And I'm very vulnerable right now. If you can just hold me for one night, because tomorrow morning I have to go outside and tell my dad, elder brother, younger brother, my mother that I've quit my job and I have no idea what to do. So I can face the entire world, but I will not be able to handle if you're not with me. And in case you feel that I'm crazy, and in case you don't want to go through this journey, you can let me know. I'll go and I'll take my resignation back, so that can be also taken care of. But I told her one thing, that but you give me in writing that you will never question me, that you have not done anything different in life. You give me in writing today, because I'm showing the courage, but you have to show more courage than me. And जैसे it's in Indian epics also, शक्ति फीमेल ही होती है, दुर्गा माई होती है, पार्वती माता ही होती है. So my wife Meg, she has more strength and more conviction than me, that I had in myself at that time. She said whatever will happen, we'll see it together. So you probably can quit, and then let's see what happens. Now why did I do this? Because there is a very strong learning that, as I told I'm gonna keep referring to my grandfather quite a lot in the entire talk. When I had got married with Mehak, after a couple of days when we got settled in the home and all that, so he called me, and he called Mehak also, and he told me that, Rishi, if you want to win the world, if you want to conquer the world, first thing is set your bedroom. If you can set your bedroom, you can conquer the world. But in case your bedroom is not set, you cannot do anything great in life. You will require people in your life as a support system. And in case Meg wants to conquer the world, then you have to support her. It's not only the woman supporting the man, it's vice versa. Whatever you want to do, just ensure that you both are together. Until then, you're best friend with each other, nothing can stop. So that is the reason, whenever there's anything that that thought came into mind, which was very volatile and all, I first went to her and I said, if you support me, I can pull it off. And she said yes. Next day, I told my dad, I want to quit. So he's like, okay, where are you joining? I said, nowhere. He's like, then any business idea you have? I said, no. He said, what do you want to do? I said, I want to think and I want to spend time with myself to figure out what I want to do in life. And pehle mera naam Rishi. So he thought this is pure midlife crisis. Now though he's gone out of hand, and we got responsibility. We got obviously a lot of responsibility on us. Like family, emotional, financial. A lot of responsibilities are there on every human being. And he's like, Rishi, how can you, how can you say this? He couldn't believe. As I said, we are three brothers, and his thought was that if I allow one child just to sit at home and do nothing but just to think, what will I tell other children? So I said, whatever you say is right. You're absolutely right from your perspective, but I really want to spend time with myself. And so we have a business, so my dad, my elder brother, younger brother, they are into one business. We're into curtains, upholstery, resins, we supply across India. So I said, you come with us. At least you come with us till the time you figure it out. So it was more of a disguised employment. I used to go to his office, sit over there, trying to figure out what I wanted to do. Those It was 3 years, honestly, I spent having no clue in life what to do, having no clue in life, having no idea what I wanted to do. I used to work with my dad, brothers, and all, but I could not contribute anything. I could not even add a single value, to whatever discussions we had. And it was just going day by day, it was getting worse and for me. So my health started to get impact. I started crying, I started howling, because it was, I think, the biggest battle of my life was between my mind, what I'm supposed to do. So because when your mind, heart, and actions are aligned, there's harmony. But over here, there's nothing aligned. I have no clue what's happening with me. But I was very clear that, this is a test I need to clear. It's not going to be easy. And every day, I used to sit with my wife and say, I know it's challenging, I know it's frustrating, I think, but I think, the whatever it is, it will come, after a test, because God will give us, but God is gonna test us first, how desperately we want it. So those 3 years were, a phase which I would never like to forget. Also, I would never like to forget, because that phase keeps me humble. That phase keeps me, high on gratitude, because my maximum emotional learning in life has come because of that phase. It's because when I went down and out in life, in all aspects, that is where I got to learn. So one day, my dad sent me to a place called Vashi, which is on the outskirts of Mumbai. He said, "Go and meet a client over there." And I went over there, and fortunately for me, the client said that he's stuck on the other end of Mumbai, so it'll take 2 hours to come. So I said, okay, fair enough, I'll kill time. And there was a store nearby, and Crosswords, sorry, was there. And I went to Crosswords just to kill time. And that moment I saw Bhagavad Gita CD. I really don't know what happened. I got so attracted to that CD. It was of Anup Jalota. And that was the only impulse purchase I've ever done in my life. That's the only impulse purchase. I just took, and I asked that person, yeah, is it in English, Hindi, Sanskrit, which language? And that person said, I don't know. He was a young lad, probably first or second day at his work. He said, I don't know. I said, whatever, respect, give me the CD. I don't know why the CD is attracting me a lot. And I purchased that CD. And every day I used to hear Bhagavad Gita. Every day, complete Bhagavad Gita. Every day I used to hear complete Bhagavad Gita. Okay. And after, I think, 8 or 9 months, I swear to God, I got up with the thought or a calling. I could hear a voice saying that, Rishi, get into Indian epics. Get into Indian epics. And that was roughly around at 3 o'clock at night. And I got up and I told my wife, I know what I'm supposed to do. I want to get into Indian epics, And she said, what will you do in Indian epics? I said, I don't know. But I got a calling, and I think this is what it is, because this is something that is giving me a lot of peace. Suddenly, I know, my mind is getting relaxed, my mind is very calm. And so then next day I told my dad, I want to get into Indian epics. So he's like, what do you want to do in Indian epics? I said, I want to teach. He said, Ek to tera, your name is Rishi, you're not working. So he thought that I've gone very slowly and steadily. I said, no, but this is what I want to do. And he said, okay. So logically, and by that time, I forgot to add, I had another child also. So I had 2 children, no work, and just a passion towards Indian epics. And everyone was, like, you have to do it very quickly. 2015 is when I started that, I told my dad, I need exactly 1 year now. And he said, what do you need 1 year for? I said, I need to read a lot of books, and I need to meet a lot of people. I need to travel. I need to interact. So he said, but now you said that you want to teach. I said, yeah, but before that, I also need to learn. So that 1 year, I read various versions of Ramayana, Mahabharata, concise version of Vishnu Puran, Shiv Puran, Bhagavatam, multiple versions of Bhagavad Gita, saw lots of videos on Bhagavad Gita, various, epics and all, made a lot of notes, interacted with a lot of people. In India, there's something called satsang, bhajans, kirtan, went to a lot of temples, interacted with a lot of priests, which I still do, by the way. So for 1.5 years, I just did that. And finally, I was ready to face the audience, and I said that now I would like to, take it from there. And God has been kind. So from 2016, it has been a phenomenal upward journey. Things have happened which I didn't even dream. Like one of this is right now that is happening. It's just that people are helping. Oh, just there's a line in Hindi. Kana ki kripa se mera sab kaam ho raha hai. Karte ho aap log, bas naam mera ho raha hai. I really believe in that line. Like Girija ma'am just called me for this. She didn't need to, but a lot of people started supporting, helping, guiding, coaching, and it just went on from there. But those 3-4 years was really a challenge. More than any aspect, it was an emotional challenge that I was facing, And there was one stage, there was only one stage in 2016. I said that, I told my wife, I think, I'm getting it wrong. I think it is, I'm doing a mistake. I've invested 4.5 years, I'm still not getting any work or something like this. I think I should quit. That was the only time in my life I told my wife. And she said that, it's all a matter of time, just hold on, just hold on for a couple of months. I said, no, I need to go and tell my dad I want to quit. I think I'll join my dad business back. And I actually went and told my dad that I want to, call join, yes, join y'all. You'll not believe, I told my dad, and after 2 hours I got a call, and I got a call from an unknown person, and he said that we work for a company, and we want you to do a session on Krishna for us. And I told my dad, sorry, I got the calling. Now I have to take a step back. He's like, you're so confused. I said, I'm not confused. I think this is what, because I gave up everything, and now finally, I think God has realized that this is time for me to hold. And from there onwards, it just swung in my way. It just swung in my way. So yeah, so that is all about it that time.
Your spiritual journey is truly remarkable, and very, very happy to see you excited like a kid as yet. So that's truly wonderful, and I find a similar wave coming to me as well when you were sharing your story. And what is important here is that you took the decision and the call to follow your own conscience.
Correct.
And Gilja is aware of that, but I'll share with you that way back in 1983, earlier to that, there was a management consultant from Harvard who addressed the bankers club in Bangalore that I was working at the bank. And he said that Indians do not need to go to Harvard and Yale to study management lessons. It's all there in Bhagavad Gita and Ramayana and Mahabharata stories. Study it. Don't read it. Study it. And I think that's where your inspiration comes from. Just as you had a powerful relationship with your grandfather, so did I. And he read me the book, An Autobiography of the Yogi, when I was a small kid. And after that, I read that book myself. And today in the US, I give that book as a gift to all my American friends when they go for dinner or lunch. I don't give them a bottle of wine, I give them this book. So that's what is important. So congratulations for having rediscovered yourself and on the path. And I'm also very happy to know that you took the Dale Carnegie Peace program. How was that experience?
Which one, sir?
Sorry. The Dale Carnegie leadership program. The Dale Carnegie program which you did.
So what happens? Okay, it's a very nice, train the trainer module that they have. So actually, what happened, as you rightly said, that the Western world has a lot of modules.
Just 1 minute.
Yeah.
There is Anuja Gupte is saying that she can't hear me. You guys can hear me?
Okay. Yeah, I can. We can.
Okay, then Anuja, check your audio side. All right, thank you very much.
And sir, is this the book you were talking about?
Yes, autobiography.
Yes, sir.
It has such an important scientific base. It has such an important scientific base to describe Hinduism. And so that's what it is. But you will be happy to know that I played a critical role in bringing Dale Carnegie to India. Which my brother and my
Sanjay Jha.
Sanjay is my youngest brother.
Mr. Sanjay.
Yeah. So he and his wife, Pallavi, both of them run the Dale Carnegie.
Yes. Correct.
Yeah.
So I did it from them only. It's a very nice course. It gave us a lot of confidence with respect to how to have your stage presence, and we had a nice trainer also at that time, and he gave us a lot of tips also during the. And I spoke to him that I'm doing this so that I can reach to a larger audience, but I'm not primarily focused on the corporate. So he gave me a lot of insights also how to do it. So it was really nice. But it was really worth it for me. It was really nice.
Good.
Yeah.
Finally, it is the person who learns. The program is the same, but there are so many people who will come and say, oh, it is nothing to learn from. And there are people who will say, wow, I learned a lot.
Correct.
It all depends on how much you soak in, right?
Correct.
So, Rishi, I will start off with a question now.
Yes, sir.
We have spent 25 minutes on our personal journeys. That is awesome storytelling. Share with me on one aspect. We are talking about skills and spirituality. How does one determine what skills that he has? How does one work on his or her own skills to be successful? So you, for example, when you began to give a talk and talk about these texts, you had to develop the skill, or you had to have the talent
Correct.
to be a good public speaker, to convey a message without authority. That's the most powerful thing.
Correct,
You
sir.
don't have the authority to tell others what to do, but that's one of the critical elements that we learn and we teach, is that how do you influence without authority? So share of your thoughts on this element. How does the young people, how does the young person today
Correct.
focus on acquiring the skills to pursue his or her own talent?
Correct. So, sir, what happened? I like to share stories from Indian epics, because I think that gives a lot of clarity rather than me giving a technical point, because I believe stories are so powerful, and our ancestors were brilliant because they've, forwarded the stories with so many learnings. So, I'll tell you where I learned it from. I'll tell you a very specific story. I'll tell you when I read Mahabharata for the first time. When I picked up the book and I reached the last chapter, I genuinely thought I picked up the wrong book. I genuinely thought when I read that ending, I thought, Rishi, you picked up a wrong book. Might be you have to go and search some other book. Then I went and I looked, for another book. I directly went to the last chapter. The ending was same. It was similar. Then I went to the biggest Baba on this planet, Google Baba. I googled, the ending was still same. Quora articles, ending was same. What was the ending? That Yudhishthir entered heaven alive. In entire Mahabharata, the only person to enter alive was Yudhishthir. I couldn't believe. And when I tell people that, how come he entered heaven alive, the immediate answer is because he was Dharamraj. And then I asked them a question back. The person who bets his wife in gamble, is it right or wrong? जो आदमी अपनी बीवी को दाव पर लगा सकता है, उसको स्वर्ग में एंट्री कैसे मिल गई? Genuinely when I read that, I told my wife, I deserve entry in heaven. I'm not that bad. I genuinely deserve. But then, that I again recollected one of the advice that my grandfather had given me. He said that, Rishi, if you ever are interested in reading, the epics of India, the Indian epics, Mahabharata should be the last book that you should pick up. He said you should first read Shiv Puran, Vishnu Puran, Bhagavatam Puran, Ramayana, then you should touch Mahabharata, because Mahabharata is the final epic where a lot of karma set off has taken of each of every character that is there in Mahabharata. So you'll have to understand the characters. And the beauty of Mahabharata that he told me while watching that, B.R. Chopra was there, he said that everyone was right from their perspective. That is the reason war took place, Rishi. So when you read Mahabharata, you'll have to read from everyone's perspective to understand Mahabharata. So when we have shown Mahabharata from Arjuna's perspective, Bhim perspective, Duryodhan perspective, Krishna perspective, Draupadi perspective, but Yudhishthira doesn't come out as a glamorous character. But yet he's the only one who entered heaven alive. Now, how did he enter alive? Now, if you see Mahabharata, it's actually a journey of Yudhishthira. There are many characters, many central characters would also be there, let's say. But it's actually the journey of Yudhishthira. Mahabharata is also known as Jaya, the victory of good over evil. Now, how did that happen? When he bets his, Draupadi, and, when things go wrong. And next day when he realizes that, now they have to go for an exile of 13 years. Now, what happens in those 13 years? Bhim goes in search of Lord Hanuman to understand how can he enhance his physical strength. Arjun goes in search of Lord Indra, Bhagwan Shiva, to get all the weapons that he wants. Nakul, Sahadeva focus on their axe and sword fighting. What was Yudhishthira doing for those 13 years? Before he went for that exile, he spoke to Ma Gandhari, Mara Dhritarashtra, Bhishma Pitama, Kul Guru Kripacharya, Kaka Vidur, Guru Dronacharya, Ma Kunti, all his brothers. He spoke to Krishna, he spoke to Draupadi, and he asked for feedback. It's like a 360-degree feedback. Tell me my mistakes. Tell me what I have done wrong in life. Tell me what are my vices. Tell me what is my weakness. And in those 13 years, he does so much amount of meditation that he controls his senses. His mind was in his control at that time. And the only thing that he did was he did not repeat any of his mistake again. We do not call him Harishchandra Yudhishthira, Satyavadi Yudhishthira. We call him Dharamraj Yudhishthira. And that Dharamraj, he was called after he came from the exile, because he got complete control over his senses. And therefore in the war also, when Bhagwan Krishna tells him that Yudhishthira, say, Ashwathama mar gaya, he said, मैं स्वर्ग को त्यागता हूं परंतु अब मैं झूठ नहीं कहूंगा, because he understands the mistakes that he has done. So when we read that entire book now, when we read the entire Yudhishthira story, then we came up with a model, sir, that we call AIR model, AIR, which we have mentioned in a book also, AIR model. So A stands for accept. First, I need to accept there is some scope of improvement, because accepting that is 50% battle is won. I stands for identification. So Yudhishthira accepted he has done a mistake. Then he started to identify. And then comes the R, rectified all the mistakes that he has done. So when I also, so I follow this AIR model religiously: accept, identify, rectify. And I also tell my children, when they come from school giving exams, in case they don't get, they do a mistake, I said, first you only tell me, have you done a mistake? They say yes. Find the mistake. Then only they only start finding the mistake. Now don't repeat. So it's easy to evolve on those aspects, because it's my mindset to accept, identify, rectify. So when I thought of getting into training, the first thing that I did was I called a lot of my cousins and friends, and I told my wife, I'm going to give you a 6-hour presentation. I'm going to videotape it. Rip me apart today. Rip me apart today. But you have to tell me the mistake that I'm doing right now. It could be anything. It could be from a PPT. It could be from flow. It could be from pronunciation. It could be from grooming. It could be from content. It could be anything that you feel. I swear they gave me 74, 76 points, and I didn't have the confidence for next 6 months to go for a presentation again, but I worked on those 6 months. I worked on those 76 points. But in case if I would have gone to a public platform or to a corporate, and if I would have done those mistakes now, I don't think so anyone would have given me second chance. So I think for whatever we do, accepting that there is scope of improvement, having the patience to receive feedback without judging, and then probably working on it. Because there's this line in Hindi which I always tell people, I'll translate in English, कि सुनना तुम्हारा फर्ज बनता है, मानो नहीं मानो तुम्हारा हक बनता है. Listening is your duty. Whether you agree or don't agree, that's your right, because you have got your own intelligence, knowledge, skill, and everything. But the only way to develop yourself in any parameter, it could be a behavioral parameter, technical skills, anything, is by receiving feedback and working on it. I genuinely do not know any other way of working it. So now also wherever we go, whatever we do, I always seek feedback. So you'll be just to add how at all aspects we take feedback. We got a WhatsApp group, we got 4 groups where people have subscribed to get messages from us on daily basis. If any one person leaves that group, I always check with them one-to-one, sir, could you please give me a feedback, what can we do so that we do not lose members like you? And people have given us feedback also, and we have worked on those feedback. Therefore I said, karte sab aap ho, naam hamara ho raha hai. I just keep asking for feedback again and again, and we just work on the feedback that we get, sir. So yeah, that's what we do, sir.
That's quite remarkable. Believe it or not, feedback and follow-up. These are the 2 things that govern my life. Feedback and follow-up. I always seek feedback from people. Feedback is not about, oh, you are so nice. That's not
correct.
The feedback is an authentic feedback in which you can work on it and become better. And can't agree more than the fact that rectifying is the essence of human life. 99% of the time we forget that. बात सुनते हम भूल जाते हैं. So that's what is important to bear in mind. So that's was truly remarkable. Simple lessons, and as we always say, simple lessons are the most difficult ones to follow. So because I give the usual example of my favorite example is putting on weight. It's so easy, isn't it? It's so easy to put on weight. Try losing 2 pounds. Then the fun begins, right? So the point which is very important is to we have to be alert to the feedback that we give to ourselves and we receive from the universe and the people that are involved with us. So that's truly remarkable. Coming to the brass tacks scenario, you कहते हैं कि when the rubber hits the road. But we all know, intuitively, intrinsically, we all know what is the right thing to do and what's the wrong thing to do. Majority of the time, people do not follow that. I define dharma in that way. Dharma has no definition. Dharma has only one definition, that you always know when you do the right thing and when you are doing the wrong thing. So your dharma is you are following your dharma because that's what you felt attracted towards. Interestingly enough, majority of the people do not recognize their own talent. How do you help people with the text that we have is to recognize their talent, build their skills around it, and drive it with their value system. So when I talk to the young people, I tell them, don't look for a job. You are an example of that. Don't look for a job, look for a life. Look for a life. Once you begin to look for life, then you don't have to work ever in your life. That's the important part of this scenario. We are all driven by नौकरी मिलेगी, पैसे आएंगे, then you become indentured labor.
Correct.
नौकरी है तो पैसे आ रहे हैं, घर में काम चल रहा है, चलने दो, जैसे है वैसे है.
Correct.
we remain unhappy ever after. So,
Correct.
so the question is, how does one do that? And in
Correct.
our work, and I'm very deeply involved in it, our company
Correct.
known as a Human Potential Project, and
Correct.
we always work with the corporates in teamwork, not individually,
Correct.
teamwork.
Correct, sir.
Because
Correct, sir.
people are social animals. We
Correct.
learn from communities, what society does, what family does. Children learn
Correct.
from parents, what are they doing, not what they are saying. So it is always when community, we work with teams, we work together to develop the teamwork because you don't learn in isolation.
Correct.
Because you have to try everything in the community. So
Correct.
how do people, young people particularly, and that's a challenge every parent faces.
Correct. Correct.
नौकरी पहले कर लो अपने बाद में कुछ और करो. You
Correct.
can
Correct.
pursue your dream later. How
Correct.
does one confront that challenge? And I know how to do it. We do it all the time. We,
Correct. Correct.
sometimes if you want to wrap my brain and figure it
No,
out,
I will definitely gonna do that. I'm gonna do
when
that.
you tell from your experience, how do you inspire young people to identify their talent and to build the
Correct.
skills around it?
Correct. So, sir, what happens is now, so we always give them to, so whenever we start sessions, especially when we start with youngsters, it could be school children or it could be college going, children. Or no. So we give them two options. So let's say I'll give you those two options and you have to pick any one of the option. Okay. So that means that that is the life that you would like to live. Okay. That is the life that you would like to live. So there's option A, there's an option B. Okay. I'll describe option A, then I'll describe option B, and then you have to tell me what kind of life would you like to pick if you have that, opportunity. So option A is basically you're very rich, okay. You are a great devotee of God. You follow all the rituals, okay. You're a great dancer. You're a great singer, okay. You're very well respected. A lot of people look up to you, okay, and you're a great warrior. No one can harm you. So this is all about option A, and you're famous across globe. That's option A. Option B, you got separated from your family. Your father died and you couldn't even go for the last rites. You had children, you were not even aware of it. You got separated from your wife. Your wife passed early in your life and you have to live a life without your wife, okay. And there was a lot of struggle. You lost all the material things that you ever owned, and through all ups and downs and everything, it came down going in your life. So which one would you like to pick, option A or option B? So this we give it to youngsters. So we say no explanation, just pick A or B. So
Who will pick up B?
correct, everyone picks up A. Honestly, everyone, 100% people pick up A. And then we go to the next slide. Option A is Ravan, option B is Ram. And then a fraction of a second, people say, no, Ram. I say, no, why? What happened, Ram? No, sir, legacy. We want legacy. We want values. So the parents also, then when they are attending online now, a lot of parents were also, no, we want A for our child. And when we say it was Ravan was a great devotee of Lord Shiva. He was a great dancer. Great, he was a great guy. And Rama had to go through all the struggle. Immediately change it. Then we say, okay, what happened now? There's a very beautiful definition or formula, sorry, not definition, that was given by our late Bharat Ratna President, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. And I think that was one of the most amazing formula I have ever come across. He said that everyone in India, or it could be global, but I'm just talking about he's for in an Indian context. He said that for growth, everyone speaks about, A and B, but no one speaks about C. He said growth is equal to A plus B plus C, where A stands for economic growth, where we need to discuss how we will grow as economy. B stands for ensuring that the below poverty line people come above poverty, above the poverty. That is B. He said everyone is talking about A and B, but no one is talking about C. Values. What is the value that you have? He said till the time you're not focused on your value, how will you grow? Because life will have its ups and downs. If you have values, probably you'll go down, but it will give you the courage to bounce back in life. If you don't have values, probably you'll have a good life, but you're not sleeping peacefully, So what happens is when we do this A and B option now, then people understand that what is the significance of having values. What is the legacy that you want to give? Ravan had everything, but I'm sure he didn't have peace. He had jealousy, lust, desire, greed, everything was there. He couldn't sleep peacefully. On the other hand, Ramji could sleep peacefully and the entire world looks up to him. My grandfather, sir, told me once, which I've also mentioned as a quote on one of our pages, where he said that, I have not earned millions of rupees, but I've earned a peaceful sleep, which is far more precious than millions of rupees. He said, I couldn't, I slept peacefully. And as you rightly said, sir, your soul is your guide. Your soul is your guide. Like when anyone jumps a signal, now that person is aware what he or she is doing is wrong. The soul will tell not to jump, but the mind will say jump. There's a line in Shiv Puran: if you want a successful life, the soul should be the leader, the mind should be the follower. But in reality, it is vice versa, and that is the biggest challenge. So what we do is we come up with such stories and we tell them that now you try to, and you see what do you want to do. There is right, there's no wrong. Whatever you decide is right. Because what you said na sir, रामायण में रामानंद सागर के राम जी भी ये कहते हैं अंत में कि जो तुम्हारी आत्मा को भय वही तुम्हारा धर्म है. Whichever your soul is accepting, that is dharma for you. So if whatever you feel, then through stories we make them visualize, we make them do those self assessment, if I may call it. Self realization comes to a lot of people, and we have got a lot of people coming back texting us stating that we are trying to change, we have changed, we are making some changes, what mistakes we have done, at least we are ensuring that the children don't go through it and all. So we see a small impact happening around them, which eventually which help every one of us to have a better society or a place where we live in. So it helps. But more than me, sir, I give the credit to the stories of Ved Vyas or Valmiki, or to all those people, because they've written such beautiful stories. It's easy for me to pass a judgment on a third person, and we make them pass the judgment from a third person perspective, and then we tell them, okay, now if you are here, what will you do? And then the reflection comes into the picture. So through stories we do that, sir.
Wonderful. But India is a very diverse country. You find that people have with different belief systems are there, and you are going and talking about spirituality through these stories from our ancient Puranas, right? So how do we convince them? Have there been any challenges that you have faced because of this? Because of the different belief systems that your audiences may have?
Correct.
Have you ever faced?
To be honest, grace of God, I've never faced. I've never faced. And honestly, ma'am, I'll tell you, I've done more than 1,000 workshops. I've never faced. But there's a reason behind that. I'll tell you. Because when I was going on stage for the first time, I realized, there are massive crowd. Some would believe in a particular religion. Some would believe in God. Some would not believe in God. It's absolutely fine. It's their belief. So what I do, ma'am, I always start with a disclaimer. All my sessions starts with one disclaimer. And the disclaimer is, I'm not promoting a religion thought process, religious belief is just for understanding, explanation purpose. You believe Rama exists, Rama exists. You believe Rama does not exist, Rama does not exist. Whatever you believe stands true. I believe that Lord Rama exists. In case you believe Lord Rama does not exist, I'm sure we both can coexist. But there's a story, there's a learning. Let's focus on the story and the learning part of it rather than getting into the factual or religious part of it. And I think, people have always been more than welcome. I think when I'm somewhere, I think it boils down to your intention. My intention is to share the knowledge. I don't go on stage and come up with chanting of gods and all. No, because that is not my intention. My intention is there's a beautiful learning, there's a story. Let's focus on the learning and let's take away. So therefore I said, when I was a kid, I had a lot of friends from different religions. So I have, I understand a little bit of Islam. I understand, Christianity, I understand Buddhism, I understand Jainism, I understand Jews. So I come from a very, like a secular India. I understand a lot of religion and every part of it. And so when I take session, I speak from various examples from Lord Buddha or Mahavir, or Prophet Muhammad or Jesus or Moses and all. So everyone over there is, is interested to listen. And irrespective, ma'am, to be honest, non-Hindus have also hired me. I've got a lot of work from them also, because I think the intention, they understand. Story hai learning, and I'm here to share the story. I'm here to share the learning, and I think most of them are happy, And I think at the ground level, no one has an issue, learning from each other when it comes to.
Yeah, you are absolutely right, Rishi. You are absolutely right, because there are things called the universal truth. Universal truths never change. The question is that how do we describe that universal truth in our own language, with our own experience, and with our own narratives. So I'm glad you dwelt upon the value systems which must be the driver. So when we talk to the young people about choosing their jobs, most of the young people have this is a typical universal thing. Again, everybody wants a job, to do something, right? So it gives you some confidence, it gives you self-assurance, it brings income home, you can begin to lead a life. But that's only the beginning, the basic part of it. So I always tell the young people, don't look for a job, look for a life. Learn the skills around it. And I use an example, just to take the example of legal profession, for example, in America.
Correct.
If you want to be a lawyer and if you want to be a successful lawyer, you have to have the talent, first of all, to be what the talent is required for being a lawyer. And then you have to develop the skill sets around it, the public speaking, the language in which you have to argue your case. You have to, you have to learn between the lines, read between the lines. You have to have a sense of humor. You have to recall precedences. You have to have the ability to dive into case studies of the history of the past mein kya hua, with reference to that case. And you have to influence the judge or the jury without the authority of having so. So unless and until you build those skills around it,
Correct.
lock it with your value systems.
Correct.
That's why somebody is a prosecutor, somebody is a defense attorney. So the question is, what is driving value for you? You become successful. So that's a great thing. I want to know. I want to talk about this in the Indian context again. India is now at a cusp in which entrepreneurship, innovation is a must for India. So
Correct.
talk about how this entrepreneurship and innovation must be encouraged in India, because we lived in a country where Sarkar is a Maibab. Everybody is about Sarkar. Now we are noticing a tectonic shift brought by technology that is allowing us to talk here. Video,
True.
real time,
True.
instantly. So how do we use these processes to improve upon being who we are and how to
Correct.
become more successful?
Correct. So to be honest, if you ask me now, this is my firm belief and this is my understanding.
You always begin your sentence by saying, "To be honest." I don't expect you anything
Yeah.
else.
Okay. So okay, that I think has become my takya kalam. My wife is also giving me that look. Okay, fair enough. So I
This
think
time you're honest, otherwise you are not, right?
Okay, I got your point. Thanks for bringing it up. I think at times I don't realize that. Fair enough. But what I believe is that if a person, this is my understanding, right? So because of my training, because of the assignments that I get, I have physically traveled to 50 plus cities in India. I've literally traveled entire India, going to tier 2, tier 3 locations also. I've been to villages also. I've been to Naxal areas also. I've been to a lot of places. And one thing that I've realized is that if a person cannot do business in India, na sir, that person cannot do business anywhere in the world. Population is here, money is here, segments is here, everything is here. The customers are here. It is my job now to go and sell, to find that customer. 130 crore people stay in India. I always tell people, when I go to colleges, you want a job, good, super. But in case you don't get a job, don't get frustrated. There are millions and millions of opportunity. You can just start. And nowadays, you do not require that amount of intense capital also. To be honest, I didn't start with any capital. You can just start your business. All you need is a great idea and a belief in that idea. And if you can believe, people will believe in your idea as well. Like Zomato, sir, it came up with the IPO and it got oversubscribed. And Zomato does not even cook food. They are as good as dabbawalas. But they have a brilliant idea. What they're doing is they're solving the problem. You have to find a service, you have to find a product which will solve the problem of the common man, and then you're sorted in India. The convenience is the key over here, as you rightly said. Technology is there. So I always tell people that believe in yourself, believe in an idea, give it time. But what happens is a lot of people look for instant gratification. That is the major challenge that I feel. Patience is the key. So that I always tell people that you'll always get someone to buy your let's say your company very quickly. Now the ball is in your court. You want just quick money and move out of it, or that you want to invest over there. That is one area where I tell youth to have some patience, invest, go through that cycle of up and down, and then probably move ahead. So that more than the technology, I tell you to focus on that patience level, because success doesn't come overnight. And I've realized that whoever gets successful overnight now, the success goes also overnight. So success has to come slowly. You have to have that patience, I believe, So I genuinely believe.
When you're talking about patience,
Whatever shines fast, it withers away also equally fast. And most of the CEOs that come with me to India, and they said one thing. There's a universal statement. Vibhuti, being in India taught us patience.
Patience, correct. And sir, I'm from Mumbai, so Mumbai traffic, so I'm born in a city where I need to have patience. And one more thing, sir, it also depends upon your role model. Like I look up to Sir Ratan Tata, Sir Narayan Murthy, or Sir Anand Mahindra, or Sir, so it depends upon your role model. I give an example of Sir Abdul Kalam also, so I look up to these people. I also look up to Shah Rukh Khan. I also look up to A.R. Rahman. I look up to so many people. I look up to Leander Pace. He's brilliant. I look up to Mahesh Bhupti. I look up to Sachin Tendulkar. I think whom are you looking up to? That also makes a lot of difference. Now, if those people have got a lot of values, you study them closely, you understand their philosophy, and then probably that is what will rub off. So I also, just to go a bit off track, but I believe social media is very powerful in that sense. You got so much of knowledge, accessibility of knowledge. Now, whom are you following? That actually depends on you. There's TikTok and there's TED Talk. Now, which talk you want to follow, that decides your future. So yeah. So I always tell.
There is a question from Anuja. Would you like to answer that before we go further? There is this question, which is being vegetarian helps you to move towards spirituality. That kind of concept is there. Can you please share your thoughts?
So I'll tell you, I was a hardcore non-vegetarian. Hardcore means hardcore. Except beef and pork, I think I ate everything under the sun. But I don't know what happened when I was going through Bhagavad Gita, when I was reading that Bhagavad Gita. And trust me, ma'am, so I used to eat a lot of non-veg. I was a hardcore non-veg. But you can give me breakfast, lunch, evening snacks, dinner, and I could eat completely whatever is there on the table. And I don't know what happened. I was going through the Bhagavad Gita. One day I got up with the thought, Rishi, leave non-veg, and I left non-veg overnight. I just left non-veg overnight. And I think it was not mentioned, by the way. First, let me clarify this point. Okay, the person who has written Bhagavad Gita, Maharishi Ved Vyas, he was the son of a fisherwoman. So first, let me add that point over there. Because then a lot of people say Bhagavad Gita mein likha hai, kidhar likha hai. No, there's nothing like that. But what happens is, I think when I read that entire Bhagavad Gita, my empathy level started to increase. I started to see God in every aspect, because if you see the concept of Sanatan Dharma, if you look at it, the Prakriti is God for us. There is, as you were talking, there's Vayu God, there's Varuna God,
yeah.
There's Surya, there's Chandra Devta, there's Lakshmi, there's Annapurna, and then there's Gai, and all those. So I realized that what is there is God is in everyone, all living beings. Brahmasmi, so over there, then somewhere I stopped eating it completely. I don't eat. It's been 7 years now. I don't eat non-veg. I've not even tasted non-veg, but it has, I don't know, I'm not talking for other people, but it has helped me, to be more empathetic towards others. But coming to the point, do I tell people to stop? That is their call. I don't tell. If you feel like whatever you feel, जो आपकी आत्मा को ठीक लगता है वो करो. मैं पहले खाता था because I used to feel. Now I don't feel like I don't eat it. So, but I have realized there's a change that has happened. I have become
Very
more patient.
true. So because Sanatan Dharma is not prescriptive.
Yeah, so it's up to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So earlier now when I used to, so I'll tell you what the change has happened. Anuja ma'am, thank you for that question. What the change has happened within me is, earlier when we used to eat non-veg, my mother used to tell me, go and get fresh meat from the market. I used to go. I used to get it. Now I can't go to the fish, to the fish market. I cannot go to the meat shop over there. I cannot see someone getting killed in front of me. I genuinely cannot see. It pains. I cry. But do I tell people? No, I don't. That you should leave. It's up to your call. But if they ask me why did you leave, I say it's because I understand the pain the living being is going through. I just imagine that if an animal is roasting my child and eating and enjoying, how would I feel? If someone does that to my child, how would I feel? So why am I doing it? And that is it. But I feel there is a change. Earlier I was very aggressive. Somewhere I'm not anymore. So I don't know if it is because of vegetarian or reading books or preaching or talking or interacting with like-minded people like you. But there is an internal change, at least that I have witnessed.
Yeah.
I can vouch for it. But to each its own.
Amazing. Thanks for sharing that personal experience. Another thing is, you were talking about patience, and then I remembered, most people find it difficult to have a conversation with their spouse for more than half an hour. Okay. And here you have written an entire book with your wife. So let me share the experience. That too, you have called it Breaking the Chakra View. So let me know about that experience and that book.
Correct. So what happened is, our book is, so what happens is, for me, to be honest, whatever I want a feedback on, I always go to my wife. I have realized this eventually. I know my mother is going to watch this, and I've said this before also. She might not like it, but what happens is that if my mother will tell me something and my wife will tell me something, invariably I will pay more attention to my wife because she's more ruthless. Because my mother will say, at least my son, There would be a layer of love, compassion, but my wife will be ruthless in telling me that, Rishi, this is not right, this is not good, how you said was not right. So I've realized that a wife will never want her husband to look stupid in front of the world. No wife will ever want their husband to look stupid in front of the world. So it's not that my mother would want, okay, so I'm just being a bit diplomatic, but I hope you got the context. So I
I
always take
got it.
feedback
Yes,
from
like your mother, definitely, she doesn't see it at all, no? She doesn't see it at all. Whereas the wife is able to look at it objectively and how
Yes,
this
yes.
thing. Absolutely, they are two
So
different. Absolutely.
yeah, so last 6-7 years we have worked consciously on working this. So we give feedback to each other, and we talk a lot, we gel a lot. And I think, ma'am, what happens is, when you're as a couple now, you need a common goal that you can talk about, that you're passionate about. And we both are passionate about this. Initially, I was very passionate. Later on, she also came on board, and we can talk about everything under the sun. And we genuinely talk, and we can talk a lot.
Beautiful.
But she's my best friend. She's not only a co-author, or I am a co-author. So sir asked earlier why she's not there in front, being with you. So she's a bit camera shy, though I'm pushing her to come in front of the camera, because her vocabulary is better than me, her thoughts are better than me. So eventually she will come, and that's what I think, we help each other. Because one learning that I had from Indian epics was Ardhanarishwar. शिव जी भी कंप्लीट कब हुए जब पार्वती आके उनको मिली, तो मैं भी कंप्लीट कब हुआ जब मेरी वाइफ मेरे साथ होगी. माय वाइफ विल गेट कंप्लीटेड व्हेन आई एम देयर. एंड व्हेन वी अंडरस्टैंड एंड एक्सेप्ट ईच अदर्स एनर्जी, and each other's
Yes.
strength, and also area of weakness, we don't expect each other to change. We'll have our own differences, but at a moment we'll give feedback, but we don't expect to change. Obviously we want them to improve upon, so we close it over there. So we genuinely don't fight, we don't have a lot of arguments over it, and so because we understand each other perspective pretty well by now. So that's the reason we could write that book.
I'm 100% sure that your wife, her name is Megha or Mahek.
Mehek.
Today, after seeing your performance and global confession that you have done, and a massive buttering that you have done, you will have a special day. If she doesn't make it, I bet you will not criticize you for anything.
So I'll tell you, sir,
I just complete the thought. I always tell, my son asked me, what exactly is marriage? And that's a very fundamental question, because during the time people used to get married for reason A, B, C, D, E, F, today's life is different. We belong to a different generation. So I said only one thing to him, is that marriage is not about being attracted to a person. Marriage is all about jab ghanti basti hai na. So, when you find somebody is the right person for you, you have to accept and love and respect every oddities and stupidities also about that person.
Correct.
Because that is the key part of a good, happy life.
Absolutely.
If
you're all the time intending to change the other person, there's no happiness at all.
As he or she is. And then once you begin to accept these failings, then the rest of the things are easy to handle.
Correct.
So that's what is important. Correct. You have passed on. Now, no wonder you are on spiritual path automatically.
No. So honestly, sir, I'll just like to add to what you said, if you don't mind. So my grandfather, now when when there were talks of me getting married and all, and when so in India the arranged marriage, so there's the profile is sent and all those match takes place and all. So when we received the profile of Mehek, so my grandfather told me that, and it is not only for me, it's for all my brothers. Okay, it's for all my brothers. My grandfather said that if the girl is telling you yes and the girl's father is telling you yes, you have no right to reject the girl. Because if a father can trust you with his daughter, you have no right to reject a girl. So I actually told her yes before even meeting her, seeing her, talking to her. I said, "Meri taraf se, haan, jo dekho dekh raha, tu dekh le." So, and second thing
that is very unusual today.
No, and he never used to allow us to talk to each other during the courtship. He never used to allow. He said what happens is that during the courtship, when you're talking to the other person, what is happening is subconsciously you're trying to find reasons why you are not fit for this person or why that person is not fit for you. So he said, once you get married now, you have to spend the life together only. He said, how much ever you explore, marriage is the biggest gamble or the blind, chance that you have to take. But he said one thing, inquire about the family. If the family has a good reputation, invariably the children will be good. focus again, going back, how are their, how is their reference, how are their values, what are they known for. That is very important, individually, as sir also said, accept, and then, probably, because you are not perfect, so neither she will be. But sir, just to add what you said now, buttering. So I'll tell you one thing. When we launched the book, Break Your Leadership Chakra, on that forum, that was the first time I, praised my wife, and there's a Kishore Kumar song. I'm not a good singer, so I'm not gonna sing. But I, said those lines in front of everyone. Okay, तेरे जैसा यार कहा ऐसा यार ना याद करी कि दुनिया तेरा मेरा अफसाना. Because I told my wife, you hold me tonight and I will make you stand in the world. You just hold me tonight, and everything I give it to her, because of that one night support, and obviously constant support that she gave. Because psychologically, sir, it's very easy for a man not to work, and me being clear, at least I'm finding something. But for a wife to know her husband is voluntary, not earning, it is the biggest battle.
Yeah.
It's a very, very tough situation. So whatever
She
I
has to
sincerely,
answer
I have
so many
always
people
given.
in her family also. It's not easy.
Yeah, and but I think
Absolutely.
I got great support from my in-laws also, because when I told my in-laws, my mother-in-law and my father-in-law were rock solid. So was my brother-in-law. My mother-in-law was in fact the first one who said that, when I said I want to get into Indian Epic, she said, Rishi, you'll do great. I don't know why, but I think you'll do great. So we are blessed with a lot of, wonderful family members, like my
Positive
chacha,
people.
mama. Yeah, even my uncles, they were greatest support.
In
My
a way,
cousins are my
spiritual,
greatest
because
support.
if that is
Yeah,
your
yeah.
destiny, that is your calling, they have believed in it. The one last question before we close.
Yes, yes,
Mahabharat ki kahani Rishi ki zubani, right? That
yes,
is your caravan, Sarigama caravan.
Sarikam
Yes, yes.
2.0.
So,
Yes,
what is
ma'am.
your experience with it? Yes, 2.0. Yeah.
So what happened was, one day I got a call, from a guy called Weber, whom I met like once, couple of years back, and he works with Saregama, the music company, and he said that, Rishi, we have the Saregama Karwa 2.0, and we need a podcast speaker, and we went through your profile and we went through everything and all, and we want you to do a podcast for us. And I said, what do you want me to do on? He said, anything. I said, just give me a day. And I'm very passionate about Mahabharata. I'm genuinely very passionate about Mahabharata. I circled back to when I said that, I would like to do the entire story of Mahabharata. You just let me do it. He said, fair enough. He got the internal approvals and all. And that was like a 3 months. We invested roughly 200 to 300 hours, doing the entire recording, scripting and all. So where does Meg play a role? So she will help me with the pronunciation, she'll help me with the grammar, she'll help me with the script part of it. So I always say that, shabd unke hai, meri sirf awaaz hai. So we work something like that together. So we used to work a lot, and then God has been kind. It just got live 3 weeks back on Saregama Karwa 2.0.
Wow.
And whoever has heard, a lot of people congratulated us, and it was something that, I had this feeling. I swear, I genuinely, there's a friend of mine, Rupak Shah. I don't know if you know him. I think Girija ma'am, you might be
Yes,
knowing
I know.
Rupak Shah.
Yes, I know. Yeah.
I had called Rupak, 2 years back, and I told him, he's into these movies. He makes these short clips and all. I said, Rupak,
Right.
we have worked together. I said, Rupak, give me one chance. Give me, 7 to 8 hours. I want to share the story of Mahabharata with the world. He said, Rishi, will do it one day, but not now, because he had his own plan and vision.
Yeah.
And he's doing brilliant, by the way. So, and somewhere it was always there within me that I want to share the story of Mahabharata with the world. And when this came, it was like a gift of God, and we completed 7 years into Indian epics, training and all those things. So it was for us, it was a perfect gift from God, an opportunity that landed, So thanks to Web of, thanks to a lot of people. I always say, ma'am, it takes 100 people for one, support, then one person becomes successful. I genuinely tell this, and I mean it from the bottom of my heart. I am just the face of my family, my cousins, my relatives, my friends, but it is their constant support, constant support. So it could be, a Kunnu or a Kunal, they all are supporting me, giving me advice, helping me, or a Nishant calling me for a talk of or Gopal Das. Everyone helped me, everyone wanted me to do it, So I'm just plain lucky, it's just that grace of God, I'm the face for everyone's effort, that's genuinely, I believe.
Yeah, every young
Look,
person doesn't
we
get
are having
support from the family. It's very beautiful story, and I will encourage every family to do that with their children. Have faith in the children, and also, read good children. Young people should read good books and develop spirituality. Go beyond the senses. Look for anchor in our own culture. There is plenty of it. Yes, Vibhutiji, you have closing
No, I
thoughts.
was saying that the storytelling and the life story is so fascinating. We could be talking for
Absolutely.
hours, but we have a
Absolutely.
time constraint, and we have. I think that I can relate with your story.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Definitely
It
relate
was,
with your story because each one's life story is a remarkable story.
Correct. Correct.
And
yes.
I related to that because I came from Bihar, where we studied English and Hindi medium as well. And
Okay.
but we learned. So
Correct.
learning
Yes.
is key.
Correct.
Recognizing, that's the cooler thing that you said in the beginning that I don't know.
Correct.
The first lesson in learning that we give, we have a beautiful module for learning, and we say this, that to use the American slang, that we all need and must acknowledge our own oh shit moment.
Correct.
Oh shit,
Yes.
I don't know this.
Correct.
Yes.
Recognition of the fact and acceptance of the fact that I don't know this.
Correct, sir.
Majority of the time, the
Exactly.
problem happens because we are expected to know everything.
Yes.
The first
We are not walking
step
encyclopedias.
for
We should
learning is
accept that. Yes.
I don't know
Yeah.
something. And when
Correct.
you do not know something, then you build a support system that you are referring to. You
Correct.
can't be good at everything. No one person is good at everything. So
Correct.
to build this support system, you have to acknowledge that things that I don't know,
Correct,
right?
sir.
Then only you can fill in the gap. That's where the teamwork comes. So
Correct, sir.
whether it's a cricket team or a football team, there is a goalkeeper with a designated role. There is a striker with a designated role. Opening batsman has a different role, and the tail end batsman has a different role. The tail end batsman is a great bowler. The
Correct.
opening batsman is
Absolutely.
not a bowler, and there is a role to understand. Hey, listen, this has
Yes.
been wonderful to interact with a successful person who
Thank
has
you.
followed his passion and made it a success. So that's the I will take it from you. And
Thank you, sir.
A
someday,
big
someday we
lesson.
will talk about my story too. Hopefully.
Yes, sir. Sir, can I share? Can I take 2 minutes? I'll share one aspect. So,
Yeah, yeah.
when I
Do
was
share.
small,
Do share.
my grandfather always used to tell me that Rishi, you should read books. Books will give you a lot of knowledge. But more than books, Rishi, you should talk to people, because
Yes.
every individual is not an author, but every individual has got experience, and if you can learn from experience, you don't probably don't need to read those many books.
Right.
And
Very true.
last, the closing is, there's one, what you said, Nasa. I would just like to share a very small story from Ramayana. So over there, when Guru Vishwamitra goes to Maharaj Dashrath and says that मुझे राम की आवश्यकता है, ताड़का का वध करना है, and then Guru Vishwamitra is finally is able to convince Dashrath Maharaj. So Dashrath Maharaj then tells Guru Vishwamitra, you go and sit in a chamber. I'll send Lord Rama. Okay. Now Ramji is outside. They have not met. Guru Vishwamitra and Ramji has not met till now. Now Guru Vishwamitra is sitting inside, okay, a room,
Yes.
and Lord Rama is standing outside. He knocks the door. Thug thug thug. Guru Vishwamitra is asking, "Kaun hai? Who's there?" So when I ask people in the audience, if you were Rama, what would you say? So they'll say, "मैं Rama हूँ, अयोध्या का युवराज हूँ, दशरथ महाराज हूँ, सब क्या पुत्र हूँ, आपने मुझे बोला," all those things. You know what did Lord Rama say? He said, "यही हम जानने हैं गुरुदेव हम कौन हैं." This is what I want to know who I am. And I said, Lord Rama, he's saying that I don't know who I am. Then Rishi, who are you to say that you know yourself? I think that statement, sir, when I read now, it changed my entire thought process. I said, Lord Rama is being so humble, surrendering himself to Guru to gain knowledge and become enlightened. And a lot of time we get stuck at a designation. And I think the moment we get
Exactly.
stuck at a designation, that is where a downfall begins in life.
I
And a lot of
know
people
my
are
name was
successful
not
with park
spelled
it.
correctly. My designation was not given correctly. People are so particular about it. Exactly.
Correct.
And
Humility is
I
some
will,
big
I will,
learning.
I will end
Correct.
my statement with your last example that you said about who am I? यही जानने के लिए हम आए हैं, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
That is the reason of my life, because I have been doing a 7-year itch in my work life. The famous slang that goes into life, marriage में 7-year itch आता है. So I
Correct,
have been doing the 7-year itch in my work life and my personal life, in trying to configure who am I, beyond the titles, beyond the scope of work. Who am I? What am I doing? And what's next?
Correct.
That is the question. When we begin to
That is the question.
answer, then we
Correct.
rediscover ourselves. So I have been
Correct.
redefining myself from various points in time. Girija knows me
Absolutely.
rather well, so she will agree with me. But I just wanted
Yes,
to
sir.
comment on one element which Anuja has asked here, whether vegetarian makes you more spiritual or it drives you towards the spirituality. As you rightly said, Rishi, that it is individual experience.
One name.
But what I do believe in is that whether what you eat, who you pray to, doesn't matter. What you do is actually defining you. That's what defines you. In the natural cycle, lions and tigers are supposed to be buffalo eaters and non-vegetarians.
Correct.
There are animals which are designed for a particular purpose, for ecological balance.
Correct.
Eating something or something is a question of your own taste, your own preferences, and your own ability to survive. So in the desert lands, there are no vegetables. The people pick whichever animal they get to eat.
Correct.
So that's what I would say, that, being a vegetarian doesn't make you more...
Doesn't make you spiritual.
It definitely makes you compassionate towards other life. That's
Correct.
Absolutely.
I think you beautifully explained
is eventually defines you. So I will end this because we have to have a hard stop sometime. Otherwise, we'll be talking.
It will go on.
No, thank you. But thank you, sir. It was really a pleasure. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Very enthusiastic participation. I really love the way you are so enthusiastic, so vibrant, energetic. That is what each time I get from you. Amazing. Wonderful to have you. My regards to Mehak too. Thank you so much. Thank you, Vibhuti.
And after the show is closed, please bring her on the camera. I just want to personally greet
her. Sure, sir.
Absolutely.
Sure,
we'll get her here. Yes.
Good.
Yeah. Good night, viewers. We'll close it.
Good night.
Good night.